Alright, had to recharge my camera because apparently the battery sucks. But, grab something to drink real quick. Okay. What we have here is a weapon that I started to make years ago, and then I got fed up with it and scrapped it and just threw it in a box and didn't touch it for a long time. It's always been in the back of my head, can I do something like this? Is it possible? And just grabbed it and went down in the garage. It's been a rainy day in Michigan, starting to get colder, so figured it's a good day to work in the garage. So I started working on it, and you can see I'm talking about that piece. Once again, I'm not going to try and pronounce that because I'll just hack it up. But it's like a foldable weapon. So it's one of the weapons in this book that I've always kind of looked at and kind of wanted one, I guess. Just because it was so different. I don't know. So I spent a good probably hour and a half drawing something out. Then I cut it out of paper, made sure everything was gonna look decent. Went downstairs. I didn't have any steel for it, so I had to go to the store. Ended up spending, I think, around $15 or $20 for the steel. And then just got to it with my DeWalt grinder and just started cutting pieces and drilling holes, doing some grinding. And finally, after, no joke, probably 7 years, this is what I got. Now, one of the examples had a weight on the end of the cord, and I had some extra cord that was hanging off, so I decided, hey, I'll put a weight on it too. Can never hurt having an extra weight. So this is what we got. And it's a nice snug fit. There we have it. It's a nice three-sided blade that I ground out of it. This part is left just solid. I saw places that were trimmed down. I kind of just wanted a solid piece. I didn't want anything too fancy. That is a solid rivet in there. It was actually just a piece of 3/16 solid steel that I drilled out and then heated up and slowly just kept tapping it until it kind of mushroomed over. The nice thing about that is that whenever this, if this piece starts to become a little loose, if I just take it and set it on the vise and just give it a couple taps, it kind of tightens it back up. But right now, I mean, yeah, it does move a little bit, but Really? I mean, I did it by hand, so it's not going to be 100% like perfect. I mean, there's a very little movement in it. But I think it turned out pretty well. I got my cord, which, not gonna lie, trying to find purple rope was damn near impossible. I went to every place I could find around where I live, and finally, I was driving down, and I saw Joann Fabrics, and I'm like, you know what? I'm like, screw it. I'm like, I'll go in there and see if they got it. Thankfully, I happened to go in there, and I happened to run into someone that I went to high school with that works there, which was kind of odd. So I went and bought some cotton rope. They sell it on a spool for like $4. You can get like 9 feet of this. And then I went and got some fabric dye and just dyed my own rope because they didn't have any. So this was what he suggested to do. Whoa. That was just elbow to the camera. But anyways, I think it turned out pretty well. I liked the color of the purple. For some reason, I'm just a big fan of the contrast of purple on black and brown on black. So I like to put that on a lot of my weapons. But this is a black oxide finish on here, and I did what I explained in the comma video, that as soon as I black oxided it, I let it kind of get a little rusty. I wouldn't even say rusty, just a little discolored. And then I gave it a light dusting of clear lacquer, and that kind of sealed that all in. And this has been sitting like this for at least 48 hours, and it's still nice and black. Color hasn't changed. Doesn't scratch off. But overall, actually, it was pretty simple to make once I got it all drawn out. The hardest thing was probably fitting this. That and making. I drilled 2 1/4-inch holes and then took a small file, and slowly worked at it until these 2 pieces were correctly aligned. And then trying to fit that in there, that probably took the longest. Everything else on here was simple. Shaping everything was simple. I mean, if you look at the overall design, I mean, it's not very intricate. I didn't even have to do, the only cutout I had to do was down here because I wanted to make this end piece rounded. But everything else, it's pretty much just a straight piece of steel with 2 holes in it. And then this one I had to buy a wider piece, which was a little more expensive, but I needed to get a piece wide enough to have this tab. And just cut that out and cleaned everything up. Drilled, the rivet hole and this hole, and then just slowly, fine-tuned everything in. But when you see when it's together, it's not going anywhere. It's pretty tight, and I like it. I think it's definitely up to my standards. It's definitely not fun to figure out though. But probably my favorite weapon I've ever done now, by far. Like I said, if you guys want dimensions or anything on this, I have all this drawn out. One of my friends is gonna start drawing some of my stuff out for me professionally. So if anyone is ever interested in making anything like this, let me know. I'll send over I'll email you the dimensions. I'll email you pictures that you can even just print out and cut out and trace. So, always willing to help. Like I said, the tools I use for this, I use the drill, of course a file, and some heat for the rivet, a hammer, and then just my DeWalt big angle grinder. That's all I used for this. So I mean, didn't take a lot of tools to use this, or I mean to make this. Just took some time and some patience. I'm starting to get really good at forming these triangle Yari blades. Starting to get real good at that. Was actually kind of surprised myself. But that's pretty much it for this video. I'll probably have one more coming out today besides this one. It'll probably be uploaded right after. Just because I had a request last night on YouTube, so I'm going to do a quick video for that person and everyone else can enjoy it. So, all in all, cool weapon. If anyone's ever interested in making one of these, let me know. I got all the dimensions and everything, and I would say total cost $30-35 if you factor in everything, not including buying the tools, of course. Yeah, $30-35 altogether. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll have the next video coming out in a little bit.